welcome back to AR77. Today we're going to talk about a hotly debated topic in the airgun community, I suppose. Feet per second. Before we get onto that, please, if you do find yourself coming back to the videos, if you do enjoy the channel, if you like the pistols that I put on the table or how we talk about them, or if you just like getting involved in the comments beneath the videos, please do hit that subscribe button. Hit all the buttons you can, and you'll get updated as to when I'm releasing new content. And I get an idea of exactly who's keen and what videos they're keen on. Yes, thank you, much appreciated. So, feet per second. I can understand why a lot of people would care an awful lot about feet per second. For instance, let's say you are let's say you're a hunter that uses an air rifle. Or let's say you are a target shooter, competitive target shooter who uses an air pistol or an air rifle. Neither of those two worlds am I massively familiar with, but I understand that there are certain laws about maximum power levels that you have to adhere to. So it might be really important for you to keep your rifle or pistol under a certain limit so that you're not contravening any laws or breaking any rules or anything like that. I totally understand that. I understand that if you are shooting for accuracy, you're going to want a powerful enough gun that holds a pretty flat trajectory as far as possible until it hits its target, so that you've got an idea of where that projectile is travelling. And especially if it's out at long range, you want high feet per second so that you can push that pellet as far as possible in as straight a line, I guess, as possible. Totally understand that as well. If you have an air gun and you pull the trigger and basically a BB or a pellet just dribbles out of the barrel, I can understand that being frustrating, and I can understand you going, right, let's just check what foot per second or what feet per second this is supposed to shoot at, because I'm pretty sure it's not doing that. I can get that. Likewise, if you have a pistol and it, let's say normally you're putting holes in Coke cans, and then one day you pull the trigger and the Coke can completely explodes, you might think, blimey, that's shooting a bit hot, isn't it? That's a bit more powerful. I wonder what the feet per second is. And I can understand you being interested in that. However, for me, feet per second is not a massive consideration. And I think part of that is because of the reason I have my collection. I have these pistols because I enjoy the feeling of ownership of a replica, and the better the replica, or the closer the replica, the better for me. And none of these replicas, bearing in mind they shoot 4.5mm BBs or .177 caliber pellets, none of them are going to be anywhere near a replica in terms of muzzle velocity, in terms of stopping power or anything like that. They're not going to come close to replicating the real steel. So I don't really care about that. I like the fact that they move and that they function and they behave similar to the real steel. That's good because you get to rack the slide for some of them. You know, you get to pull that hammer back, you get to field strip them, and for me that's part of the enjoyment of having a replica. The foot per second or the feet per second rate doesn't really come into it. But still, there are people who are upset because I don't have a chronograph and I don't talk about feet per second on this channel. And they quote things like, well, what about accuracy and things like that? These pistols are not designed to be super accurate. Certainly, in terms of accurate hitting a target, they're designed, the accuracy element is the accuracy of replication. The accuracy of, does it do what the real steel does in terms of functionality? That's where the accuracy is that I'm looking for. It's not target accuracy. They're not going to be massively powerful. They're just not. And they don't need to be, because they're to shoot through paper targets, to shoot into fruit, to shoot into Coke cans, whatever it is that you do, but they're not there to be powerful. They're not there to be that accurate either. They are fun. They're not toys, so don't get me wrong, they're not toys, and they are incredibly dangerous if used incorrectly, but they are still just a bit of fun. So let me sort of tell you, I'll illustrate what I mean here. If you were going for feet per second, if you wanted the more powerful of these two pistols, you'd go for this one. This is the KWC Sig SP2022 or 2022. I'm going to drop the mag out. This pistol is not loaded. There's no CO2 or anything like that. Now this pistol, you can't cock the hammer. The safety does work and the mag does work, but you can't rack the slide. The slide won't lock back. So it looks okay. But as replicas go, apart from aesthetically, apart from the way it looks, there's not much functionality there to enjoy for a replica collector. You know, if you built a kit car and it looked a bit like a Corvette or it looked a bit like a Ferrari, but you couldn't drive it, you couldn't open the doors, you'd think, well, it's not as good as the ones that do have that functionality. So this pistol does very little. Double action trigger, and yet it shoots extremely powerfully for a pistol of this type. For an air pistol powered by 12 grams CO2, this little bad boy is pretty powerful. How do I know that? Well, not because I've got a chronograph, but because of the reaction of the targets that I shoot with this pistol. You can tell by the sound of it, you can tell by the reaction of the targets that this shoots quite heavy. There's also other videos on YouTube where people do talk about the feet per second, and that's great. I don't feel like we're in competition there. They're focusing on different aspects than perhaps I am, maybe. This is the Taran Tactical Combat Master, or the Baba Yaga, if you will. This pistol is definitely not as powerful as the Sig I just showed you, but this has a full-size metal drop-out magazine. This pistol, you can rack the slide, you can pull the trigger. It has a working grip safety. The hammer will work as a hammer does. The sights are a nice little kind of green dot fiber optic sights there at the front, green dots at the back there. Really nice. You can field strip this pistol. It has that lovely kind of copper barrel there, not to mention the fact that it blows back. When you pull the trigger, the slide will reciprocate, if I can say the word, and you'll get a nice bit of recoil in your hand, and it will feel like you are shooting an actual pistol. Doesn't stop there though, does it? Because it will feel like you're shooting the pistol that John Wick shoots. This is a replica of the Baba Yaga from the John Wick films. That does everything you would want a replica pistol to do, and yet it is nowhere near as powerful as the Sig. So for me, out of the two, I like them both, but I prefer this one because it has more functionality. I can do more with it, and it feels more like a replica, or a fully functioning replica of a pistol that is iconic, you could say. So I would go for that over that, even though this is less accurate and it's less powerful. Let's take those off the table. Let me give you another comparison. There is a Beretta 92 A1. There is a Beretta 92 FS. Now, both Berettas, both very similar styling. This pistol, more powerful, higher FPS. This pistol, less FPS. This pistol, more accurate, shoots pellets. This pistol, less accurate, shoots BBs. This Beretta takes a rotary magazine in there. That is not how a Beretta in the real world functions. Okay? This pistol has no magazine. It all goes in a kind of a rotary mag in there. Okay, so it has no dropout magazine. The CO2 goes into the grip there. Yeah, and that's how that pistol works. Don't get me wrong, lovely pistol, love it to bits. But as a replica, other than aesthetics and maybe weight, you could say, it's perhaps not as close a replica as the 92A1. This has full-size drop-out metal magazine. It carries more ammunition, more like the real Beretta. Once again, this has a working slide, just like a Beretta in the real world. In the real world, carrying a Beretta, it's a single action, double action. So your first shot would tend to be a double action shot. Yeah, at which point the slide will reciprocate, and then from that point on, obviously it's not done it because it's not loaded the mags out, but from that point on you'd be in single action. So it even replicates the functionality of how the actual pistol would shoot and fire. It would be a double action shot first on the draw from the holster, and then after that the slide would knock it back and you'd be in single action. Fully filled strippable. You can take this pistol down, you can see through it, you can get to all the gubbins. Again, you've got that recoil. A great pistol, a great replica, a better replica, you could argue, than the other Umarex pistol. Both made by Umarex, these. Both lovely guns, but that is not as close a replica as that, I would argue. But it's got better feet per second. So, I hope that kind of clears up why I'm not particularly focused on feet per second. I'm more focused on the reality, or the realism, I should say, of the pistol. There is somewhere in between that I would suggest. If you want something that is a bit more powerful, which, for a start, anything that blows back like that is not going to be as powerful, for a start. What's the feet per second? What's the feet per second? It's going to lose some feet per second because of throwing the slide back anyway. So don't get hung up on that. If that's what you're interested in, don't get a blowback pistol. If it's an accurate pistol you want, don't get a BB pistol. For me, I think the best middle ground, if you want something that is more powerful, where you're not going to lose feet per second to a blowback action, and you want something that is fully functioning, fully working, then you are in the market for something like that. That's the 4-inch Dan Wesson 715 by ASG, Action Sport Games. This is a fully functioning pistol, works just like the real steel. It's shell loading, it takes pellets in the shells, so you get to load them as you would in real life. You get to eject them as you would in real life. It comes with a speed loader, all the CO2, everything is housed in there. You get to pull the hammer back, you'll see that cylinder rotates, look at that. Lovely. Sends your trigger back into single action. You can also shoot this pistol in double action, just like the real thing, okay? You've got a nice recessed barrel there. I've shown all of these pistols a few times now, but that would be the middle ground. If you want something that is a really good replica, but you also want a bit of accuracy in terms of your target shooting and you want a bit more power, you can't go wrong with a Revolver. And I think, I know at least 2 people who will be saying, yes, that is why I favour revolvers potentially over any other type of replica air pistol. If you're wanting a Revolver, you won't be disappointed with the ASG Dan Wesson 715 series. I'm currently toying between getting the 6-inch version of this in pellet rather than the M29, the Dirty Harry pistol that Umarex brought out a few months ago. Because actually, when I weigh it up, I think I prefer the look of the Dan Wesson. Of course I want both. Of course I want both. But I think in terms of priority, even though I've got this, I think I want the 6-inch Dan Wesson, you know. So, hopefully, although I've kind of rambled on, as I tend to do, you get an understanding now of why I don't feature FPS in my videos. I don't own a chronograph because I'm not an expert. I don't run a shop. I'm not the Jeremy Clarkson of replica firearms. You know, that's not what I'm doing. I'm telling you about my collection and I'm giving you my personal thoughts on them. I'm giving you a bit of what you might call a review, but I don't feature FPS in my reviews because it's not something that I find important. I'm more excited about a pistol that functions like its real world counterpart than one that tries to emulate anything like power or accuracy in what is essentially a fun plinker. It's an air pistol for the back garden. So I try not to get hung up on that other stuff. Hope you found the video informative. I hope you enjoyed seeing these pistols again. Haven't shot this for ages. Why the hell not? Let's keep that one out. Right, I've got some shooting to do, so I'll see you later. Take care, all the best, stay safe, bye.